I had just made a video and it went away. What we're going to start with is what's in between. Okay? Imagine, here's a dot where my cigarette is. Hold on a second. Let me do this on paper. Okay? I got a pen that doesn't work. Then I got a yellow pen. This is on paper. First, God is one. Okay. Then, on this side over here, he's three. In three, he creates. Okay. But to create from here to here, you must connect them, leaving it with two. The one in between must be the one that connects to this side, that connects to this side. Now you have the representation of your bowling lane. In all, this should be number one here. Okay, and that's the way they mark it in bowling. But in all actuality, it's number two. In bowling, we're only going to go to the first two frames. And when you go to, let me open this up here. When you go bowl, your one and your two and your three are below. But who says what's below two and three? In the Olympics, sometimes they put the three here and the two here. The reason for that, if you're coming from the under and expressing it in French, it's one side. If you're expressing it in English, it's the other side. Now you can say, what is this bullshit with French and English? They're opposites. That's all. The French say E for an I. The English say I for an I. An I for an I and E for an I. So anyways, what we're going to do is now, what we did is we put the two here first, and we put the one here first, okay? The reasons the two here is first is because from the underneath world, okay, or the side worlds, the numbers will change. You count the pins. Two world, one world. When we count on this side, one and putting two here instead of putting three, we get 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, 8, 6, and 9 connects to 10. Why does 6 and 9 connect to 10? And here it connected to 10. Your birth brings man into the sixth position of the 10-10 world. And now you have the 0 and double 0 in roulette. And now we mark more bowling frames down here. To reconnect, that between 1 and 2 is 0.5. Okay, that now takes over from 1 and 2 angle. Because as it spreads, the numbers change, although they're the same for their angle, because on different levels. If you take level 2 on the first level, then obviously in the next level is going to be 1 and 3. Now, if you want to go next, there's also the bubble eye expression, where you bubble the eyes and you connect them. You connect them here and to here. Then you have your cross of Christ. 1, 5, 2, 3. 51, 23. 5 and 1 is 6. 2 and 3 is 5. The wolf. Because once you connect these pins here, okay, the rest of them should fall. The angle of the fall of a pin is 7.5 degrees. Isn't that funny? The egg. That's the angle of the egg. And the egg tips over, it falls down. Why that angle? Because the ace that supports inside the egg yolk, okay, when it tilts that way, the egg will always stay straight. But the egg will fall over on that tilt. It's like standing on a pin, pushing it off. Once you push a pin and a pin off, the other one's only standing on a pin. It's no longer an angle like this, fully supported. It's now on one pin. So what you see here bowling, but we're not finished, is there's the space that's in between, which also gets counted. If you would box this out, 1, 2, 3, 4, by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you get 42. And 42 means the passage for the birth and the angel, which is God and man. And you can say it's all bullshit. You can say anything you want, but it is what it is. The other thing I'm going to show you is that when you mark the score, what is the actual size of the box? Okay, because this is the halfway point. When you look at the box of bowling, this corner and this corner, when this corner is put in this corner, there's still a space in between. So the box has to be this size, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 by 5 is 25. Now, in between everything, okay, the pins, if you want to stick them out, is you see this 8, because there's a space in between here and a space in between here for this pin, creating an 8 in the middle. 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. 8 and 8 is 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. And 48 is the expression of God. 4 corners and the 4 corners and 4 corners, because a square, the square, and a square have 8 corners. This is actually the stop sign. This says your 8 corners. It has your 4 of God's world, and then the totality of the 8 of the 2 worlds. Now, why do I say that? There's 2 numbers. I have to use them both in understanding to the relevance that they connect together. Another thing is when you have splits in bowling, it's usually the far corner pins, which is 7, the gates of God, and 10, 17. They're both gates of God, and 10 becomes the beta spirit, 1 plus 0. 9 plus 1, the minute man is born, he's born into the secondary world, running under the spirit 1 of the 9 birth. So what we have next is when you split those pins, it's 7 and 10. So you split them. 7 and 10 is 17, 1 and 7 is 8. In between, like I showed you, is the 8. 8, 8. We always skip over the 8 because when you spread your fingers here, that's the 8. The 8 is the in-between where everybody lives, the heaven. So you become the 8 heaven. When you walk, your feet spread apart. Your head still stands in between because you're in the head, that world. So when the entrance of the spirit or the soul comes in within you, okay, you're constantly walking, okay, and the pressure, if you would look this on a MIG, if you know how to weld or wiring on how it melts, it goes down, and because of your foot this way, it'll always curl back up. Because from heel to toe that we walk, from heel to toe, from heel to toe. Now the question is, why from heel to toe? Because when you walk up a hill, it's a little difficult. So you get a toe to tow you up the hill. This is only expression of explanation of the deeper understanding of the words that we use. Toe, tomato, soul. And when you say heel to toe, how come you're talking about heel to toe and not talking about heel to any of the other digits of your feet, of your toes? Okay. Anyways, so we had these 8, 8, 8s in between. At the same time, if you take a look, right, when it curves around the I, around the dot, because this is the pin, it becomes the letter I. I, 2 spaces, 2 spaces, 2 spaces, 2 spaces. 8, 8, 8, I. So now it comes to the fact, should it be 2 spaces apart? What should actually be the space? So if I use the right angle, okay, up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly 4 spaces. And how many exactly up? 1, 2 spaces only. But there's a partial space below because the round of the pin, and a partial space above because the round of the pin. So what actually would this say? Does it say 8 or does it say I? Now on the bottom side, if it said I, if it says I on the bottom part, it's saying I between 7 and 8. It's saying, excuse me, if it's saying 8, it's between 7 and 8. If it's saying 8, it's between 8 and 9, because that's the heaven. If it says, this is 9, if it says 8, it's between 8 and 10. 8 and 10 is 9, it creates the heaven. You see the way the line goes straight up? The connecting heavens inside that line to penetrate. This is where the I comes out. In between the 2 and the 8, on the angle, that line that makes the 8 is supported by this over here. There's your I, and there's your dot on the I. And don't forget, when you look at a bowling pin, if you take them away from the floor and look, you got the black dots, so you'll actually see the relevance of what I was trying to explain. And then there's a 4-pin split and a 3-pin split, but there's never a 5-pin split. Because the 5-pin split, the angles of the pins, okay, will always be less space than creating a spirit of 1 pin, which means if the pin falls, that spirit angle will fall towards that other pin. And that's why it's only 5. So if you connect with one of these 5 pins, there's a chance you're going to hit them all because your ball size is inside the impact angle of the separation of the pins, creating whether it's an I or a 9. If it's an I, it's 1 I, it's 1 space. Okay? If it's a pin or an 8, it's 2 spaces for both eyes to go, because when you're born, the angle of you are born, and each one gets deposited into the 2 different worlds of the 8. This eye goes into 2 different worlds of the 8. He's the walking eye of man that stands. Okay, and there you go. Now you have to go bowling with this and understand the spares. So I'm going to get you into another page. Did I do this anywhere? I must have ripped out something. Bowling scores. Bowling scores. Oh, here's a piece of paper we can rip out. Bowling pins, bowling scores. Because I started doing bowling scores. Oh, here it is. I started doing bowling scores, and I wrote them like this because every frame, okay, has an allowable throw of 3 times per frame, in which even if you finish the first frame, you get to use the next frame, but never more than 2 more frames, because Beta's extension spirit can only go 1 left and 1 right. So therefore, once we finish a frame, we get 2 more shots if we got the strike, because the strike says, which is an X, that's God. That's God's 510 value. So once you get the strike, God says, okay, the Beta world is created. 1 angel, 1 man, 1 ball each. And they all get to be added to that X in the frame that you had been thrown. Even with the spare is more or less a triangle. And that again expresses, okay, again, it expresses the creation that 1 can get 2 and 3, which is half. Raphael 7286. I'm going to leave it at that for now. All you have to know is pin 1 is in the front and 2 and 3 are right behind it. So 1, 2, 3 are together. Once you got that, all the action takes place. Okay. Once they both fall on the 7.5 degree angle, okay, on the whether it's the interior or the exterior, because of the force of the ball, you'll actually see what happens to the angle of the pin and which way it goes, because there's a reason for it, obviously, but now that's into science and I'm not into that. And everybody actually knows that answer, so we're going to leave it at that for now. And everything is very strong, very, very, very strong. I'm drawing things and I don't remember why. You know, this is the capsule inside. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 4-floor pyramid. 1, 2, 3, 4. Floor pyramid. In all actuality, okay, if this pin is not there, if I don't mark this check mark like up here and just draw a straight line across, that'll be a 3-point pyramid. Okay, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 point. This wall to this wall. Do you follow? When you re-angle this, you can now create your pyramid. Look at the X here and the X here that fall automatically on this, on creating this. Here's your inside diamond and here's your inside diamond. And if you look on the roulette, 8, 11, 13, 10 and 26, 28, 29, and 31 create that angle. They also create the angle of the pentagram inside home plate area, which is a deeper explanation on our creation. It's definitely a creator in this world, because whatever I know makes sense all the time. Whatever I don't know, I can make sense out of it again and again and again. There is a God out there. There is a God out there. There's no way I can do this. No way in the world. Am I that smart and just take all the opportunity to say it's all me and I've done everything for me? Absolutely not. I will lay that on the hands of God. I'll take all my deceit and trouble and blame it on myself, but I won't blame anything on Him, because I know how it works. I know how it works, not exactly how it works. Only my hypothesis thinks it's exact. It's only exact up to the understanding of within myself. Raphael 7286 in the constellation of Pegasus. I thank you.